is the first shop vac I'm going to modify. It works off 120 volts, so a generator would probably be good. Maybe we'll get a hold of a generator to keep this running if the power goes out, and the power may go out because the power plant is going to suffer absenteeism as the workers catch the virus. And we get nuclear power, which means if the plant is understaffed, the workers must allow the power plant to shut down. A lot of people aren't thinking about this yet at this time. So this is March 10, 2020, and the virus is coming. I'm going to do the improvised filter medium. That's a filter that the wet dry vac comes with. Obviously it's not going to stop a virus. So we're going to have to create a new one, and we're going to have to create a larger standoff. You know, that's the standoff that keeps the filter from plugging into the vacuum port there. So we need a new one. We're going to make a larger standoff, and I'm starting to drill holes in this plastic bucket. I modified the size of it to fit around that plastic ring, this plastic ring right here. And it's not an exact fit, but a little silicone caulk is going to fix that. And the standoff to hold our improvised filter is going to take up more of the available volume of space inside this entire pail here. I need two hands to do this, so hold on a sec. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Okay, it's all attached. Caulked there. Seems to me like it's got to have a pretty good seal at the bottom here, so I'm kind of pushing out all the dog ears. Okay, because our filter, we're going to be taping our filter to the bottom of this somewhere so that the air can go through the holes. But down here we're going to have to tape our filter, and so this has got to be more of like an airtight thing right here. Okay, as long as air can't slip up there through a dog-eared pinhole or whatever. Okay, the improvised filter medium. Adult Huggies. The reason why I'm thinking this can do what we need is because these things are made to be able to breathe. That's fabric. These used to be made plastic on the outside. All diapers used to be plastic on the outside, and air could barely pass through that. Well, it couldn't pass through that. But now they're made of this like tight weave fabric or whatever, these paper products, and they're designed to trap odors. So they're breathable when people move around in them, and yet they trap odors. So I'm thinking something that can trap odors can trap particles even smaller than a virus. So I'm going to try it. I mean, you never know unless you try. So here we go. Okay, here we go. We're going to tape it up like so, probably. Okay, so we're going to wrap this around here. We got to stick this initially with some silver tape. And this is serious tape here. This is designed for sealing like ductwork and stuff. So, let's see how we're going to start this off. Okay, I taped it here and here just to kind of hold it in place. And along this edge here, I got to tuck all this frill slightly underneath. That when I tape it here, it's going to force the air to come through all this thick, nice material that filters out odors and stuff. All right. Okay, we're all taped up all around. Everywhere we put two of the adult Huggies together, we got the foil tape, and nothing gets through that. Although it needs a layer of elastometric paint as well, I think, along the bottom. Okay, this little thing is called a potentiometer, and it came off of a blower for your yard, an electric blower. And it's just a resistor that does more or less resistance. And this vacuum seems to me like it's way more powerful than the blower that used to have this thing. So maybe this doesn't have enough resistance to do this properly, and maybe it's going to get too hot if I try to use it to power control this. So we'll find out. Yeah. I have no idea why it's behaving that way. So you can't just control the power to your vacuum cleaner just any old way. apparently. Okay, so let's say in a pinch I need a power controller. So I take the wire, this wire right here, you know, coming from my vacuum cleaner, and I snip it. And I strip everything back and expose the 2 wire elements. I guess there's 3 wire elements in this one. But I take the 2 hot ones, the neutral and the hot, and I split them up like this. See, I attach the wires. This is a bath of salt water, and that's a better conductant right there. Sodium hydroxide takes like a 1/4 of a teaspoon or 1/8 of a teaspoon, and then you conduct the electricity through a little bath of salt water, and you can increase the power by bringing the wires close together like this, or moving them farther apart without getting that ground wire in there like that. And then you got variable power. Now the right way to do this, well, I'll tell you more about doing it the wrong way. You can touch these wires with your freaking rubberized tongs here. You can wear a leather glove when you do it. You can be standing on a rubber mat, so there's no way for the electricity to go from your crazy saltwater bath to the ground. And that's in an absolute emergency, like say you got a killer pandemic bearing down on you where, oh geez, there is one. You know, it's March 10th, 2020, and that's what we got going on. So now this is garbage. So this is a Grant Thompson Scariac. Let's get this front and center here. Okay. See, I got my saltwater bath down in here, and I can control the power like this. I got the electrodes coming close together, far apart, and I'm controlling my power on that thing. It works. It works if you need it, but the correct tool to go and purchase, this is like a weekend project right here. Maybe you don't have a weekend right now, but the correct thing that you can order off of Amazon or wherever is called a Variac. Grant Thompson calls this a Scariac, or he did, you know. He's no longer with us, but man, what an inspiration, that guy, you know. A million things you can learn in a survival situation, you know, Teotihuacan or what have you, and that's a variable power controller that doesn't cost like $300 or whatever they cost, you know. So there you go. Okay. Okay, so I got it running right now on this particular make and model of shop vac. They're all a little different. This is the blow port. It's blowing air out here. I can let it blow in my face. Clean filtered air, supposedly. You know, I haven't used enough silicone sealer or elastometric paint around the edges of my improvised filter for me to really feel good about it. But that's where I would use the attached to the blower. This is the suction. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is go to a window, take the screen out, measure the window, find out exactly how big I need to make a piece of plywood. Just a strip of plywood large enough to drill a hole for the vacuum cleaner hose. This will be the outer piece that interlocks with the inside piece, and it's got its blocks that help it to marry the window perfect, hole lined up and everything. Covered up my other mistake, but cosmetics is not the main thing we're going for here. Now I have elastometric paint. This is actually white roof paint. It's quite non-toxic. You know, you can collect rainwater off your roof even if your roof is painted with this, and so it doesn't have a lot of nasty fumes, this particular brand, you know, but they make lots of brands. And I gotta paint this. See, I got my power controller going and I got it sucking lightly, and I can't go tipping this upside down because there's a plastic ball in there that will block the intake, and that's like some waterproofing feature or something. So I just paint along here and I get the edges of the tape. I put the brush down in the middle of the tape and I push it to the edge, and I just wet the edge of the filter material with this paint so I don't have these like pinhole leaks. And so this is going to leave plenty of exposed filter medium right here. You know, it's just gonna, I'm mostly covering with paint what's already covered with this foil tape, and I'm making sure I get to the edge and I plug these freaking leaks right here. And down here too, this has got to be done right here. Alright, so I'm going to go all around that. Alright, I think we're happy with that. Yeah. And on this outer cover for the outlet here, I glued a soda can poked with holes to guard this port, you know, to keep rodents from getting in there. And this is insect netting to keep the kind of bugs that we have from getting in through these holes. And around here we got no-see-ums that hatch out of infected poop and land on you and bite you, and so you got to have this kind of mesh, no-see-um netting. That's just where I live. Yeah, I tied it with thread around the bottom. Whoa. And I closed up this with hot glue. And the system's all in place. I don't feel a lot blowing out here, and there's a test left to do. Okay, this is cayenne pepper rolled up in a paper towel. I left that smoke right under there, and it wafted right up. And not a trace of the smoke that gets sucked in through there makes it through the improvised filter. So now I'm feeling pretty good about our contraption. And there you have it. Okay, so to really do this right, you're talking about making something that's going to run for hours and hours, and your filter, you know, it could get plugged up. You may need to change it. So, you know, have more than one shop vac. You probably need more than one shop vac, and you got to change out, you know, your hose. You got to now to do that properly, I think all you got to do is you got to start, maybe you got a tank of air, maybe you got a compressor like this, and you have somebody squeeze this off, squeeze off some air and let some air into start letting air into the room. And that's when you yank this off. You spray a bunch of Lysol in here, just a ton of Lysol, and kill all the germs that are stuck in your filter medium, and then unplug, tape it up, put tape over that, unplug, plug in your next shop vac that you also rigged up, you know, and hook it up and plug it in, you know, and start running it, and then your person on the air compressor can stop releasing air, and that way you continuously have the positive pressure in the house of clean air. So you got to run that air compressor and fill it up with clean air before there ever is a problem. As you turn on an air compressor and fill it up with air, you're drawing air from inside the house into the compressor, and you're creating negative pressure in the house. So other things that can create negative pressure in the house are these fans over your stove. Okay. Your dryer creates negative pressure in the house every time you run it. Even, you know, your washing machine creates positive pressure when you fill it up with water, a little bit anyway, and it creates negative pressure when it drains to the outside of the house. And then you got these bathroom fans too. Okay. Now when you open these up, these often have settings inside, 25, 50, 100 cubic feet per minute, and you probably want to set those to the lowest setting so that if they're turned on at all, they're not doing a whole lot to suck air out of your house faster than your clean air filter can push it in. And then there's the question of power. Is there power to power these clean air devices that you're running? Controlling the pressure in your house and getting serious about it in a house that's not really designed according to modern efficiency codes for your AC and your heat. Okay, that means taping up cracks like this, because I know there's wind coming in here from the outside at a given time. And there's another consideration. Like I was talking about earlier, there could be high absenteeism at the power plant. So you may need to run, say, your 12 volt shop vac, which that is, with like a 12 volt battery. You can run 12 volts from your car. I could run a couple of brass bolts through here and jumper cables to those brass bolts, and I could get my 12 volts clamped into that. If I got a remote starter for my car, I can work that to turn the 12 volts on and off to the car and get 12 volts in here, say at night when, when the sun isn't going to run my solar panels for me, which I also have. But the sun doesn't shine at night, so you got to run off of something else. You got to run off of stored compressed clean air. You got to run your car batteries, so your stored power. Maybe you got a generator outside that can do 120 volts, no problem. So you need a generator and fuel and a way for that generator to continuously get fuel as you do this for days. You're talking about doing this for days, really. You go outside, you're kind of breaking your seal, So we live in the tropics here, as you can see by all the palm trees and pineapples, and if the power goes out, that central AC isn't going to work anymore, and this place is going to be a sweat box, which sucks, but that's when you just kind of lay on the couch, you don't move, and you maybe got continuously cold tap water, you got cold tap water coming out of the ground is pretty cold. Yeah, that's nice and cold, so you've been putting wet rags on your head to cool off or whatever, but not really doing any work, because you can't. Not when you're in a hot box. Okay, here in my bedroom I got a little bottle of peppermint oil, a cotton ball, and you see that hole in the wall like a nail hole for hanging a picture or something, but in fact, if I soak this cotton ball with peppermint oil and I stick it on the hole and I stuff it in there with something like a toothpick and just stuff it in there until it drops down inside the wall, that's what I did, and I did it years ago. I soaked a cotton ball with peppermint oil and stuffed it in there because I heard a rat moving around inside the wall right there. Or maybe it was a bat. Well, rats and bats could both potentially carry the coronavirus and bring it right inside your house. And it kind of defeats the purpose of trying to be airtight inside your house when these freaking organisms can just get in your house and bring in the virus that way. So that's no dang good. So start trapping rats like crazy. Trap them all. This is my A24 rat trap. I love this thing. Somebody finally invented a better rat trap, and this is it. This one comes from New Zealand. It's expensive, but it resets itself. It keeps the bait inside. The rats just tumble all into a pile on the ground, and they keep going, up to 22 of them in the one CO2 charge. Okay, so after further research and further thought here, some post-video notes, the filter I constructed is basically an improvised HEPA filter. Existing HEPA filters have the ability to filter particles of the size that concern us. The reason to improvise such a filter is obviously cost and availability through the current public health emergency at the time of this recording, which is March 12, 2020 now. This system will operate on household current as long as there is electrical service, and will need to run off of some type of backup power if electrical service is interrupted, obviously. As far as backup electrical power for your house, I'm sure the need for every home to be equipped with it is becoming clear to many people for the first time. Our permanent homes need to be equipped in similar fashion as recreational vehicles are commonly equipped. 12 volts, 120 volts, power generation, and propane, all designed to function independently of utilities. They're a great idea. As long as electrical service is on, there's an obvious way to go about purifying household air with your home's existing air conditioning and ventilation system that I haven't covered thus far. You can go to wherever you normally change your home's central air filter, and you can build outward from that vent. Okay? By building outward, I mean that you can construct directly onto where this vent is or create a freestanding filter box connected to the intake with a length of dryer hose. For demonstration purposes, this doesn't work. Okay. Home improvement retailers and online merchants sell everything you need for this. You can construct a new box out of wood with plywood sides to construct a new filter that, in similar fashion to the improvised shop vac filter. in similar fashion to the shop vac filter that I demonstrated. This filter, constructed out of diaper material, does not allow air to pass through it as easily as the non-HEPA once-a-month filters in common use. They also plug up faster. The HEPA filters do. So the filter should be made in a rectangular shape, should be much larger than the filter box, and then folded down to become a corrugated filter to maximize the surface area through which air may pass. Such a filter will need dowels or other supportive materials to maintain its corrugated shape inside the box in order to function properly. In addition, commercially common and highly affordable filters should be fitted to the intake of your newly constructed filter box to prevent common ordinary dust from ruining your improvised HEPA filter, and you got to change those as frequently as necessary for airflow to be maintained. And fastidiously dusting your house and vacuuming the inside of your home. Wear something over your face as you do to maintain respiratory health, optimal respiratory health. You need it. Lastly, this proposed system can create positive air pressure by simply directing air from outside your house into the pre-filter end of your filter box. Lastly, if you lack the manpower or resources to create every component of this system for your own purposes, then consider organizing with others to create this air filtration for the use of someone else. Perhaps someone more vulnerable, or the family of a first responder, or a member of, or the family home of medical personnel, active military personnel, or anyone with vital skills or knowledge to the continued function of society. Certainly families with children at risk of being orphaned by the pandemic would be a high priority. Thank you for watching. Stay composed, and keep your working hands in motion. Creditors and debtors alike are all in the same boat. Do what you have to do. You can go to wherever you normally change your home's central air filter, and you can build outward from that vent that you can construct directly onto where this vent is, or create a freestanding filter box connected to the intake with a length of dryer hose. For demonstration purposes, this doesn't work. Okay. Home improvement retailers and online merchants sell everything you need for this. You can construct a new box out of wood with plywood sides to construct in similar fashion to the shop vac filter that I demonstrated. This filter, constructed out of diaper material, does not allow air to pass through it as easily as the non-HEPA once-a-month filters in common use. They also plug up faster. The HEPA filters do. So the filter should be made in a rectangular shape, should be much larger than the filter box, and then folded down to become a corrugated filter to maximize the surface area through which air may pass. Such a filter will need dowels or other supportive materials to maintain its corrugated shape inside the box in order to function properly. In addition, commercially common and highly affordable filters should be fitted to the intake of your newly constructed filter box to prevent common ordinary dust from ruining your improvised HEPA filter, and you got to change those as frequently as necessary for airflow to be maintained. And fastidiously dusting your house and vacuuming the inside of your home. Wear something over your face as you do to maintain respiratory health, optimal respiratory health. You need it. Lastly, this proposed system can create positive air pressure by simply directing air from outside your house into the pre-filter end of your filter box. Lastly, if you lack the manpower or resources to create every component of this system for your own purposes, then consider organizing with others to create this air filtration for the use of someone else. Perhaps someone more vulnerable, or the family of a first responder, or a member of the family home of medical personnel, active military personnel, or anyone with vital skills or knowledge to the continued function of society. Certainly families with children at risk of being orphaned by the pandemic would be a high priority. Thank you for watching. Stay composed, and keep your working hands in motion. Creditors and debtors alike are all in the same boat. Do what you have to do.